Good afternoon and welcome to CVM Live, the noon edition on CVM Television, online at cvmtv.com. And remember, you can download our CVM TV Smart app from the Google Play Store. I'm Whitney Levy. The private sector organization of Jamaica is registering its support for the state of emergency in St. James. The PSOJ had earlier this month expressed significant concern that the crime situation was out of control, as was evidenced by the brazen murders that were taking place across the island, but particularly in the region of the tourist capital, Montego Bay. The PSOJ is calling on the government to ensure that the action goes beyond the state of emergency and urgently addresses wanton indiscipline on the roads, zoning violations, and violation of the Noise Abatement Act. The PSOJ is also highlighting other issues, such as the reform of the JCF and its relationship with Indicom, an examination of how bail and penalties are administered for those involved in gun crimes, the weaknesses of the justice system, and the controlled sharing of information to assist the police in the fight against criminal kingpins. It's day 2 of the state of emergency declared by the Prime Minister. St. James is the parish which recorded the country's highest murder rate in 2017. Our reporter Nika Lewis was at the office of the Prime Minister for yesterday's announcement.
Crime and violence, in particular murders, have been escalating in the parish of St. James. I have been advised by the security forces in writing that the level of criminal activity experienced, continued, and threatened is of such a nature and so extensive in scale as to endanger public safety. In consideration of this, I wrote to the Governor General recommending the declaration of a state of public emergency for the parish of St. James.
A state of emergency is the ultimate tool the government can utilize to effect law and order in a particular geographical location in the island.
The Governor General has signed a proclamation dated and effective 18th of January 2018. The proclamation has been gazetted. A state of public emergency is now in effect for the parish of St. James. Under state of public emergency, the security forces will have extraordinary powers, and some rights are suspended.
And while the state of emergency is to run indefinitely, Holness explained this does not mean extraordinary powers can be used arbitrarily or are beyond review. He insists this does not mean a suspension of the rule of law, but stated its success will be incumbent on the support of the residents.
Now is the time. If you know where the guns are, please tell us. If you know where the criminals are, please tell us. The reward for guns program is still in effect. The number to call is Crime Stop 311, or call the Security Forces hotline 830-8888.
At the time of the press briefing, calls to the number rang to voicemail, something journalists were assured would be resolved. Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
And according to the proclamation, the minimum period is 14 days and a maximum 3 months. Meanwhile, the joint military and police team deployed in Montego Bay, St. James during yesterday's major security operations made 2 significant finds. Inspector Diane Bartley of the Joint Police Military Communications Unit says the teams seized a Kalashnikov rifle and 6 rounds of ammunition. The rifle and ammunition were found in the flanker area sometime around noon yesterday. Members of the security forces went into an unoccupied premises in the area, and after a thorough search, the weapon was found hidden in a rice bag. No one was arrested in connection with the find. On the heels of a state of emergency in St. James, 41-year-old Fitzroy Pearson, otherwise called Ba, a phone technician and a liaison officer for the Peace Management Initiative of White Church Street, St. Catherine, was shot and killed by unknown assailants on Monk Street in the parish on Thursday. Reports from the Spanish Town Police are that at about 9:20 p.m., residents in the area better known as Rivoli heard explosions and summoned them. On arrival of the police, Pearson was seen with multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at hospital. Residents in Spanish Town were again plunged into fear following at least 3 murders in and around the town this week, 2 of which occurred just hours apart. And a curfew has been imposed in sections of Spanish Town in the St. Catherine North Division since last Thursday evening. The curfew will remain in effect until 6 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, January 20. The boundaries of the curfew are north along Twickenham Main Road from the Rio Cobre to Jones Avenue, south along an imaginary line about 400 meters from Jones Avenue to the Rio Cobre, east along Jones Avenue from Twickenham Main Road, and west along the Rio Cobre to Twickenham Main Road. Persons are being asked to remain within their premises during the hours of the curfew unless otherwise authorized by the ground commander. There are growing fears in the Balaclava community in St. Elizabeth as thieves are apparently on the prowl with marked increase in break-ins. CVM's Khadija Thomas has that developing story.
Thieves are said to be wreaking havoc in Balaclava, St. Elizabeth, triggering panic and unease among citizens and the business community. They only recently broke into this supermarket, relieving it of liquor, cigarettes, phone cards, and cash. They even attempted to break into this Western Union, but were unsuccessful. Owner of the supermarket, Jerome May, says he was alerted to the break-in at his business by a phone call.
He told me that the grill was totally removed and the door was, the glass was taken out of the door. Everything was totally removed.
That is the same door that these workmen are welding. May adds that thieves have been breaking into businesses every week.
But the most alarming part of it is the fact that the police station is like a stone throw away. I can actually stay at my store and look at the police station, and you can't believe somebody could feel so comfortable to remove a grill, remove the glass, and to be inside doing, all that activity and feel comfortable doing it.
The Western Union is located in the Hillcrest hardware that Delroy Garden works. He says it is the second time thieves have tried to break into the money transfer location, but the police need to be more active in preventing the break-ins.
Well, for the police, them lock up the place at, say, 10, 9 o'clock. And like say, no, they never have a radio car, no, they have a radio car. They now patrol the area good, and we want to see them patrol the area the right and proper way. You can wait there for Santa Cruz or Montego if you patrol the town. You want some serious police in the area.
Khadija Thomas, CVM Live.
In a CVM update, after being impassable for almost 2 weeks, Montego, Portland has been reopened to vehicular traffic. Member of Parliament for West Portland, Daryl Vaz, says that temporary restorations continue.
Temporary repairs continue in terms of shingling the road to make sure that it is drivable, and the water has now almost 100% completely receded based on the trenches that were dug to drain the 15 feet of water. We'll continue to work through the weekend, and hopefully full normality will be restored by Monday.
This includes a bypass road which has been cleaned out completely to facilitate traffic in the event there is a recurrence of flooding of a similar nature. Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucien Jones, is calling for a shift in how we handle matters relating to road safety in Jamaica. Jones was speaking at a Rotary Club of Kingston luncheon at the Pegasus Hotel on Thursday, where he called for the nation to adopt a safe systems approach to reduce deaths on our roadways.
The basic philosophy of the safe systems approach is that human beings make errors. They are fallible. But when they make an error, they should not be punished with death and injury on the road. So the basic premise of this safe system is that we should design roads We should import safe vehicles. We should legislate for safe speeds. We should ensure that we have safe road users. And all of these things come together to make sure that death and injury on any road is unacceptable.
Jones says no one should die on the nation's roadways, but the safe system can only be successful if all stakeholders responsible for road safety work together.
Based on the UN Decade of Action for Road Safety, which mandates that all countries should do everything possible to reduce the number of people who are dying by 50%, by a half. The Prime Minister made a commitment that Jamaica would do everything possible to achieve this target. And the Decade of Action started in 2011, and it will end in 2020.
Jamaica will be the host of a two-day international workshop for women parliamentarians that will focus on gender issues and equality. This was announced recently by the Clerk of the Houses of Parliament, Heather Cook, at the Jamaica Information Service think tank meeting. Cook says the workshop will focus on best practices to strengthen parliamentarians and to sensitize individuals on gender issues. She adds that the meeting will focus on both genders so as to not marginalize men.
In consideration of gender, it's, men and women equally, but a big consideration on more vulnerable group, the children, the youth. So that is one of the focuses as well. When you're considering the whole issue of gender, you really have to be focusing on generation for tomorrow.
She says the aim of the meeting is to achieve equality and empower women and girls.
This is but one in a series of meetings. They've been conducting them throughout the countries of Pan America. So this one will take into account Canada and the Caribbean. And it's going to be held on the 24th and 25th of January. As far back as November 2016, the request was made to our speaker, this Honorable Pernell Childs, or the Speaker of the House, for Jamaica to host this meeting. We weren't able to do it for last year as they had wanted, but we are glad that now it is being realized.
A 53-year-old man has been missing since Wednesday, January 10. He is Peter Beckford of Luke Lane, downtown Kingston. Peter is of dark complexion, slim build, and is about 188 centimeters or 6 feet 2 inches tall. Reports from the Central Police indicate that Peter Beckford was last seen in his community at about 5:30 p.m. and has not been heard from since. His mode of dress at the time he went missing is unknown. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Peter Beckford is being asked to contact the Central Police at 922-8860, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. On the international scene, the bid by the Republican-controlled Senate to avert a U.S. government shutdown is teetering on the brink of collapse as it races against the midnight deadline. The House of Representatives voted 231-97 on Thursday night for a budget bill to extend funding until next month. But the upper chamber is set for a nail-biting vote, with Republicans and Democrats still split on immigration. President Donald Trump has called off a trip to his Florida golf club this weekend until a deal can be struck. This would be the fourth short-term budget measure to squeeze through a gridlocked Congress since the fiscal year began in October. Federal agencies are funded through annual budget appropriations bills. But at the moment, Capitol Hill is too engulfed by rancor over how the cash should be spent to agree a longer-term package. This current bill would only keep the government funded until February 16, so the whole drama may be replayed in the coming weeks. And with that, we take a break on CVM Live, the noon edition. Do stay with us.